me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Kristen, will you please do the roll call?
Yes. Laura Anderson.
Here.
Jeff Clark.
Here.
Kristen Graves. Here. Chad.
Here.
Dave. And our alternate is in the audience. We are all here.
Okay. Does anybody have changes to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next is the March 18th meeting minutes, and I had a couple of minor corrections to that. The meeting was called to order at 6:05, and I'm pretty sure that Nussdorfer seconded the agenda motion. Does anybody else have corrections? Hearing none, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda with corrections.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Sorry, I meant to say the minutes. Okay. Do any of the board members have a conflict of interest with the case we are hearing tonight?
No.
No.
Is there any public comment not related to the case that we're hearing this evening?
Hello, Rita Service, 12110 Dragonfly Lane. The comment is just that when you guys are talking, if you would actually talk into the microphone, because I know people hear it on live stream, but when, especially the last meeting, when sitting in the audience, people have a tendency of sitting back here and talking, and you can't hear. So I would just ask you to make sure that you do that, because I'm certainly looking forward to keep hearing each one of your finding of facts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Kristen, were there any communications not related to the case?
Not related to the case?
Yeah.
There were not.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the hearing of the case. The hearing for the case before us tonight will proceed as follows. First, the applicant will present their case. Next, the zoning administrator, Sarah Caprivo, will present the official records of the case. Then we will read any communications received regarding the case, followed by public comment. After public comment, I will close the public hearing and the board will go into closed session for deliberation and findings of fact. Please remember that while the board is in closed session, members of the audience may not speak unless called upon by the board to answer a question. After the board completes its deliberation, I will reopen the meeting and the board will, render its decision. I would also like to remind everyone that during the conduct of a hearing, all comments shall be directed to the chairperson. Okay, so we are hearing ZBA 2026-02, requested by Lewis Cooper, parcel number 0514-019-02315, a residentially zoned R1 parcel located at 2779 Northwest Torch Lake, Kewadin, Michigan, for two variances to reconstruct two decks within the 50-foot waterfront setback. Article 4 of the Torch Lake Township zoning ordinance. Okay. Mr. Cooper?
Hello. First, I wanted to apologize for missing last.
I don't-
I don't
Is it-
think it's on.
Did you need to use it?
Yeah,
Only
checking it
for
right now.
people at home.
Hello.
that's better.
That's better. First of all, I want to apologize for missing the session or the meeting last month. Had a family issue come up and just kind of slipped my mind. So I apologize for that. My mother had passed away a couple days before. So, but appreciate you taking the time today to hear the case. So basically, it's just, the house has been there forever. I've owned it for over 20 years. Everything that's there was there when I bought it, and we were just looking at expanding and updating the side deck, just expanding a little bit. It ends up kind of being where we barbecue and grill and all that kind of stuff. And in doing that process, part of that deck currently is in the setback, and a part of our expansion would also be in the setback, maybe 8 feet of that would be in the setback. On the front of the house, as you'll see in the drawings, there's an existing deck that actually overhangs a hill or slope. And we would just thought it would be better to attach it to our house and actually keep the exact same size of that deck, just relocate it further away from the water, actually as far away as we can without moving the house. So I thought we were trying to do those things as best we could to achieve as many of the goals as possible.
Okay. Does anybody have questions?
Just in this bigger blowout, you're getting rid of the red area here.
Yeah, the existing red would be removed, and that exact same size would be pushed towards the house.
I can't, and what does this say up here in this red area?
Everything red is existing,
Is existing.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean it's going.
but the red closest to the water would be removed,
Okay.
and then that exact same size would be attached to the house in the blue, I think it is. Yep,
I just want to make sure it's the way I understood it, but I want to make sure. Thank you.
no problem.
I had a question about the ramp on the north side deck.
Yes.
Is that a handicapped type of thing or?
Yes, that was part of the plan, but
Oh, I understand.
I don't know if that will still need to be done or not, but that's not inside the variance area, so I didn't think I'd confuse the issue at this point.
Okay, and do you know the number of feet of the variance you're asking for on both of these?
The one would be 100%, I guess, 12, all of its
Well,
space.
but that doesn't clarify how far into the setback that goes.
Oh, I could pull it up on my computer and tell you.
Yeah, I think that would be good to have.
Because part of the house is in the setback.
Right,
also.
so I can't tell from the drawing. I mean, I could get my ruler out and,
Right.
say, well, that's 50
Right.
feet, so this is approximately
Yep.
this much. But, yeah, I'd like to know what you're asking for. Let's see. I think, okay, what did you say? How many feet?
It might have been a question, actually, now that you say that.
Pardon?
Was that a question that I answered on there?
No,
Now that you said-
you said you could look it up.
Oh, no, I meant in the form I filled out.
Yeah, in letter B in the application, it does talk about deck 1, which is the north deck. 11 feet of the extension would be in the setback, that one, but the
And-
other one,
And the width of that would be, okay, so,
4 feet.
4.
4 feet.
Yeah, 4 feet.
4 feet.
And then deck 2 is completely within it, but it would move the deck 15 feet further from the water's edges. So that one didn't say specifically
The opposite.
how far from the water it was. But I thought it was somewhere, let me look. But I know, Laura, you're pretty thorough, so if you didn't find it, then.
Pardon?
Thorough.
Yeah, I said, that's why I was focused on really the one attached to the house, because if we're giving them a setback, I think it's helpful to know the number of feet of setback we're giving them.
So Laura and the rest of the board, have you guys seen this?
Yeah,
The
and
red
actually,
line is the actual setback.
I know, but it doesn't give me real measurements. And actually, the one that Sarah emailed to us Monday, I was able to print that out and get a better definition on it and get that, see those lines. So,
Okay.
so anyway, that was my question. So the answer is we don't know on deck 2 how many feet that would be into the setback, because you'd have to add the house and the deck onto it.
Yeah, if I can get this online, I should be able to come up with the answer.
Pardon?
If I can get my iPad online, I should be able to get you the answer to that.
Are you looking that up, Sarah, or are you doing something else?
No, that's what I was gonna see if I could
Figure it
find out
out?
that information.
Does anybody
Do you
else
know-
have questions? while we're-
Don't, but.
Towards Lake Township guest?
While we're looking for that, will there be any new or additional landscaping or other steps, patio, walkway?
Other than adding some more stuff where the existing deck is to help with runoff and stuff that we do every place else, because the deck actually overhangs
Right.
the slope right now.
It's Torch Lake, all lowercase.
Is it?
Torch Lake, all lowercase letters. We're on the gas, that's it.
Oh, okay.
While he's looking that up, do you want me to kind of, I don't have much to say, but give my comments?
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
So my staff report's in your packet. I did want to make mention that everything that was in here was in your last packet, except for some of the communications. So just to update for the record, the legal notice was published in the Elk Rapids News on March 26th. The 300-foot mailings went into the mail on March 31st. And I did include the information in here for the sections of the ordinance. We are just dealing with the ordinary high water mark setback from the, on this application. All the other setbacks are met. I did break it down in 2 variances for you because there's 2 different decks and it's not an all or nothing. You can look at the decks independently. And that's why I gave you the 2 worksheets to work through at home when doing your review to make that determination. And then you can make a motion at the end of it based on whatever you find in your findings. So I don't think I have anything additional to add at this time.
The south edge would be 20 feet and the north edge would be 25. It's a cool app.
From the
Thank
water.
you. No, into the setback.
Into
So
the
it'd be
setback. Into the
halfway,
setback.
it'd basically be halfway into the
So it'll still
setback.
be 30 and 25 feet. Okay. That's how I eyeballed it too.
I'm sorry, you said 20 and 25? What did you say?
Yeah, I guess the northeast corner would be 25 feet and the southeast corner would be 20 feet.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem.
One more question. Do you know approximately when the house was built?
No idea.
Any other questions? Okay, then let's move on to, did you have anything else to say?
No, that's.
Okay,
Can I speak?
yes.
Okay, so moving forward for clarity, I just want to make sure that we all are referring to variance 1 is the north deck, which is the water side. And then variance 2 is going to be the east deck, because you, in your application, referred to it as deck 1 and 2, but in our packet, we have north. And so so we're all on the same page. And then,
So variance 1 is the north deck, which is on the side of the house.
yes, I'm sorry. I
Okay.
misspoke. Yes.
And variance 2
2
is the east deck, which is on the
water side.
waterfront
Yes, thank you.
side of the house.
See,
Okay,
that's why we have to say that. And then I had something else and now I lost it. I guess that's everything.
okay, thank you. Kristen, communications?
Yes, we had, no, I can't find it. We had 3 communications that are included in our packet from surrounding neighbors, one on the north side, another neighbor. And they were all 3 of the letters were in support of what was going to transpire or be built.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any public comment? Okay. Then I will now go into closed session. I would like to remind the public and applicant that they're not allowed to speak or comment at this time unless asked a direct question from the board. So it is 6:18. And let's start with variance 1, the north deck, the one with the handicap ramp. Does anybody want to start us off with some findings of facts, or would you like me to just go through some general ones first? Were you? Okay.
Well, I have a general one.
Okay.
My first one was that the home and the structures, the deck structures are non-conforming.
Okay. Chad, did you have one?
The structure was built before the new required setbacks, even though we didn't get an exact date on that. And it's also zoned R1. And I also have, it is an existing structure that can be subjected to reasonable upkeep.
Can you repeat the last part of your statement?
Yeah, can you speak into the microphone a little?
It's an existing structure that can be subjected to reasonable upkeep. And I think that was from 2.8 in our binder.
Okay. And I also had as a matter of point that a deck is defined as a structure in the zoning ordinance, Article 14 definitions. Does everyone agree with all those?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Then let's move on to the criteria to substantiate a practical difficulty. Criteria A is strict compliance with restrictions governing area setback, frontage, height, bulk, density, or other non-use matters will unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or will render ordinance conformity unnecessary. So my first finding on that was property is currently being used for permitted purpose under section 3.4 of the zoning ordinance, a single-family dwelling. Kristen, did you have some?
I actually had the same one, because you said 3.4, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't really have another one. My other things were just, no, I don't. They were just questions that were answered.
Okay. Jeff, any thoughts?
The, any type of deck, patio, et cetera, would not fall within the statutory requirements. So it would be impossible to do anything outside of the,
And we're talking about the north deck, the one on the side.
north
of the house.
deck, yes.
So say that again.
It would be impossible to expand the deck in any way.
So I would disagree with that because it's not all in the setback, so part of the deck could be expanded.
Meaning the back end.
Yes.
Fair. I guess I was thinking about the other deck, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Confused on which one
Which
we're on.
actually then kind of makes me think of another one, is that there's room to expand the north side deck without encroaching further into
To expand it backwards, essentially. right?
Yeah.
Yes,
the setback.
yes.
So I make sure I'm following. You're saying, Laura, that there's room for them to expand the deck without asking,
For more space in the setback.
okay. So a different configuration
Right.
of, okay.
I like it when you have that on the screen, Sarah.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay.
I think we got used to it.
Yeah, very quickly. Dave, any thoughts?
No, I'm good.
What Laura's referring to, for those of you that don't know, is sometimes we have our setup differently, and we have a screen that comes down, so she's able to project our finding of facts, so it's easier for people to follow along. And then that way, as they're up there, for some of us too, it's easier for us to kind of go back and forth. So we apologize, because it's probably, if you don't know all of our ordinances, it's probably a lot of stuff to take in and you're not sure.
Okay, excuse me, does everyone agree? We have two findings of fact relevant to this, and that is the property is currently being used for permitted purpose under section 3.4 of the zoning ordinance, a single-family dwelling. And number two, there is room to expand the deck using a different configuration without going further in the setback.
Can I go into that ramp again, whether it's going to be there or not? Article 2, Section 2.6 talks about barrier-free requirements, the American with Disabilities Act, so they are allowed to build something. And it says modification of a building, Sarah, and I didn't know if that qualifies a deck as part of that building.
That's,
I mean, if they were going to put a ramp, we couldn't, it says that we can't get in the way of that. And that depends where the ramp is so it's kind of a question statement.
Yeah. I think if it were just the ramp, because my impression is that there's a portion of the deck and there's a ramp that's there. So if we were just talking about the ramp itself, I likely would fall under that ADA section of it to get access to the deck. To me, the ramp doesn't come into play at all.
Okay.
Well, and with the drawing that they've given us, the ramp is not in the setback, so there wouldn't be any question that that ramp could be built.
Not according to this diagram, right?
Okay. So are we in agreement on the two findings?
Is
that
it
we have?
also relevant that there is an existing structure there? There is an existing deck that's already in use in that space. We're just expanding what is already there, I think, right?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I understand. Maybe Sarah, can you answer that question?
I mean, I think that you're saying that the proposal is to add on or expand something, an existing structure.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, just as a statement.
I think that's a
Statement of
true,
fact.
that's a finding of fact.
Okay. So say that again for me.
So I was thinking that the request is to expand an existing structure deck on the site.
So just a point of inquiry, I guess, if they were replacing exactly what were there,
You can replace the top boards because that's part of maintenance, but once you get into the structural components of it, and you remove it completely to start over, you lose that non-conforming status of your deck. So even full replacement that's there would end up coming back here,
Would come
except
back
for
here.
maybe, and I'd have to check an ordinance, if the cause was, by natural causes or something like that, fire, wind
blew
or
over,
something.
yeah, something.
A lot of times ordinances kind of have exceptions for that because it wasn't intended, right, to be
Right.
rebuilt or destroyed. But yeah, if you were rebuilding it, it would need to comply or come back to the ZBA.
That's all.
Okay. I didn't understand it that way. I thought if they used the same footprint, they could, repair the footings so you're saying if a footing goes bad,
I'm looking at the non-conforming section right now.
Actually, can you tell me what that is? Because I want to read
Sure.
that.
Non-conforming uses, non-conforming structures is in 10.5. Yeah, so non-conforming structures can be continued, repaired, replaced, enlarged as long as they follow the provisions. So you can continue the use of it, occupying it. You can repair and maintain it, reinforce it, improve it, rehabilitate it. if it's if it's damaged based on fire, windstorm, snowstorm, you can replace it but not increase the floor area or the volume. If you want to enlarge it or expand it, the zoning administrator can approve it only if it's a conforming use, the expansion meets the requirements of the ordinance, and it's more conforming than what it was before. And then there's a non-conforming mobile home provision in here.
Okay. Let's move on to criteria B, and then when we get through this, we'll come back and say whether we've met or not met each criteria, okay? Criteria B, the variance requested is the minimum variance needed to provide substantial relief to the applicant and be fair to other property owners and be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance. So here, I guess we talked about it a little bit already, but expansion of the deck and addition of a wheelchair ramp could be redesigned so that it does not encroach on for any further into the setback. And I think that actually is applicable to both of these. I also had expansion of the deck would not have negative impact on the neighbors. According to the letter, it doesn't seem to bother anyone. Okay. Does anybody else have?
I don't have much else to add. I had something similar. I had no negative impact on the current neighbors with the expansion. And I commented that we had gotten, sorry, I'm probably not talking loud enough. We received letters. I also, along the lines, I think it's worded a little bit differently, but room to redesign the deck with a ramp is possible without impacting or needing a setback. And then I had, and then I just stated again that the expansion of the deck would not have any impact on the waterway.
Okay, do you, I believe it's the second one, or second to last one you mentioned, was that different? Should I write that down as an additional finding of fact? And if so, can you
was it again?
say it again?
The room to redesign, that one?
Yeah,
Okay, and I apologize, it might not be a really nice sentence, but I wrote, room to redesign the deck with ramp is possible without impacting or needing a setback. And
yeah, I think that's the same as the first one.
yeah, and that again is because I was thinking of it with the minimum, were they proving to us that it's the minimum variance needed? And I was having a hard time getting to that point.
I do like Kristen's addition of that we received the letters from the neighbors for that impact on the neighboring properties, just to kind of
Okay.
add that comment, or?
So
The immediate
can
neighbor.
we, so letters from the neighbors indicate that they do not have any issues with the requested variance? Does that?
Yeah.
Cover it?
Yeah,
think
I
that's
would
a
like
nice
it,
addition.
I would like it to read current neighbors though. Because I think that's important that we heard from the neighbors.
Okay. Chad, any other thoughts?
No, I'm good there.
Dave?
I'm good.
Jeff?
Good, I agree.
Kristen?
I'm good.
Okay. Then Sarah, would you read back what you have for the, I think I have 3.
I do have, yep, I have 3. So I have your first 2, so the expansion of the deck and ramp can be extended to not encroach in the setbacks. And then the expansion of the deck would not have negative impacts on the neighbors. And then I just said, we received letters from the current neighbors in support, but your sentence was a lot nicer about the letters in support.
Okay.
But generally, we have
Okay.
letters.
All right. Then we all agree on those findings. Let's move on to C. The need for the variance is due to unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not generally applicable in the area or to other properties in the same zoning district. Chad, would you like to start on this one?
I would repeat that the house was built prior to the new setback standards.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The house was built prior to the new setback standards. And I have neighbor to the south has setback butting up to his northeast corner of its house. So you've seen that in 2 circumstances, and we're just talking about people wanting to add a deck, I guess, to a house. And so that's just the predicament if the house was built before its time.
And what were you saying about you were saying about the neighbor's house?
The one to the south too, if we looked at that picture, they would also have additional problems if they wanted to add a deck to the front of their house facing the water. But I don't think you see that up and down the lake.
I was actually going to make the opposite point. I think we might have a lot of houses built well before the ordinance came into effect, 2-3 years ago with the 50-foot setback.
Yes, be a lot.
And a lot of old decks out there, right? So that was part of the reason
Okay.
I was asking about replacing, because
Okay, so you're saying that there were many cottages built around Torch Lake prior to the existence of the zoning ordinance? Okay, I would add that are now considered non-conforming.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Dave, any thoughts?
I think we've really said them. I don't see anything that's unique about this. Under the circumstances, it's kind of enhancing things. So I don't have anything to add to that.
Kristen?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, so then, Sarah, you have 2 findings here?
Yes, that it was built prior to the new setback standards and that there were many cottages built around the lake prior to zoning that are now non-conforming.
Okay, we're all good with those?
yes,
Let's move on to D. The problem and resulting need for the variance has been created by strict compliance with the zoning ordinance, not by the applicant or the applicant's predecessors. And I just have that placement of existing structures, whether by applicant or any predecessor entitled, constitutes a self-created limitation to the ability to add subsequent structures.
Say that again really slowly. I think I have the same thing, but not as.
Okay, maybe saying it in a different way.
Or no, or just slow, just so I can
Okay.
process it.
The placement of existing structures, whether they be done by the applicant or a predecessor in title, constitutes a self-created limitation. In other words, it was self-created to the ability to add subsequent structures. So the house was placed in a certain position. Yes, it is non-conforming, but the fact that that it was placed there before there was a zoning ordinance allows them to keep what they have, but it doesn't exempt them from any future compliance or considerations. And it's kind of it is what it is, you know, the house was placed there, even though not by them. A certain area of the property was used. And so it was self-created. And I think, you know, like reflecting back on that garage case, go ahead, say what you think.
Well,
No, I'm not.
no, please. I mean,
So your point is it was
I'm
created
not
by the
sure what the
placement
point
of
is here.
the original placement of the
that
structure,
was a self-created,
even though it was even probably pre-zoning.
right.
Yes.
so are we stating like, and I don't remember what ordinance it is, but if you have a structure that is non-conforming, that if you take it down, then it needs to be conforming?
Yes, it would
And
be.
so you're saying that if they take the deck down, they would need to replace it so it would be conforming?
Yes, that's
But-
what
right.
Sarah just explained to
Right,
us.
but the problem is the house is non-conforming, right? So
Right, and you can't move it, but it doesn't change the fact that it was placed where it was by a predecessor in title.
Correct.
I guess I don't know what we're trying to accomplish with this, what you're saying.
Well, I think,
don't know.
you know, I think we went through this on the last case maybe, and there's probably some disagreement on the board on the meaning of self-created.
So basically, you're stating that this is a self-created, that this is self-created, maybe not by the current owners, but it's self-created,
Yes,
even though the property, the house was created, it was built before there was any ordinance to know that they were even breaking
Right.
the ordinance.
right.
Dave, you usually have a lot to say.
No, usually, you know, I don't see why, I kind of see what you're saying, but I don't see the relevance in it now. They're taking down the one deck.
Well, we're talking about the north deck right now, the one on the side of
The
the
side
house.
house, yeah, the side deck.
Side deck.
Just the
Okay.
north deck.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're just increasing the size of it a little bit. I just don't see how this all, what you're saying. I'm having trouble with it, okay? I don't know how else to,
so
why it's relevant.
So I think for me, because you know I'm a big stickler about whether or not it's self-created or not.
Mhm.
I think for me, it's really important that we just focus on the north deck right now. And if you're looking at the north deck, and we said in some of the other things that there is, the north deck, the one kind of, we're going to say on the side of the house, not the water side. And we said that there's room for them to build a deck without asking for more of a variance. And now Laura is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm restating this, so I'm processing it, okay?
Okay,
Laura is stating that this was self-created because the house and the deck were built, that's the part, finish it for me, were built in the setback?
they were placed
On
where
the-
they were placed.
They were placed
whether or
on the
not.
property.
So once the zoning ordinance changes, it doesn't negate the fact that they still need to, with any new structure, abide by the zoning ordinance. And the fact that the house was placed where it was is self-created, because that applies to anybody. So they didn't place the house far enough back so that, anticipating that future people would want a really big deck or a really,
Well, the counterfactual is the lake line didn't change, right? If the shoreline of the lake had changed and suddenly they were in the setback because of that, that would not have been created
right,
by the applicant or predecessor.
right.
But in this case, the house was put where the house was put,
Mhm.
whenever that was.
I think I'm still not explaining it well enough, but
Where the old decks were basically grandfathered in.
pardon, the old
The old
decks
decks are grandfathered
are
in. You're not going to
grandfathered
pull them
in.
out, but
You
you
can't,
can't expand
they're-
on them.
This word is kind of superfluous, but to help understand, they're legally non-conforming. In other words, they are fine.
It's non-conforming, but as soon as you go to do something with it, as long as you don't completely remove it, if you completely remove it, it needs to be conforming.
That's correct.
So if we are following along that train of thought, we're saying they can build a deck on the north side that would be conforming. It would meet the setbacks.
Yes.
It would be conforming, you said.
They could
Well,
build
I
a
think
deck
we're-
that
we're-
would be
We're
conforming.
going across points here.
No, but it's relevant to,
Sarah, do you have any advice? Specifically, are you aware of any instances where there has been a determination about self-created problem as a look back?
And I guess I kind of see both sides is the issue. I can understand your argument because you're saying, well, here's my takeaway. Okay, it is self-created. Somebody at one time built a house, but it's not self-created because the township then imposed zoning over it. Right.
There was likely no zoning at the time the house was built.
Right.
We don't know
Could
for
have been-
sure,
We don't
but-
know. I was looking through the record cards to try to determine when it was built, and I haven't found anything conclusive that helps me
When
to
was zoning,
determine.
83,
Um,
somewhere in there? Doesn't matter.
Well, so to that, every time zoning changes,
Mhm.
then you'd start all over again and nothing was self-created?
Well, potentially. I mean, we did adopt a zoning ordinance, right, in 24, but we also had a 50-foot setback in the ordinance prior to that.
Right.
So that language didn't change, so it's consistent from whenever it was originally adopted. I mean, the request, and I think we've had this conversation before about just because you want to do something doesn't make it self-created.
Mhm.
So it's not that test. I know you've gone round and round about the self-created before. So I think you kind of just have to pick
I mean,
your
I'm
core.
uncomfortable in both directions. I'm uncomfortable saying that just because it was built before zoning, that makes it not self-created. 'Cause
Right.
that's a-
Right.
That's a precedent
Right,
that I'm not sure we want to live with.
yeah,
That's my concern here.
okay.
That's why I was asking for advice on.
So,
there's
so I think, there's differing opinions here, and when we vote on whether the criteria was met or not, everybody's welcome to say yay or nay based on how they feel, but do we have some findings of facts to put down at this point?
So your proposed finding of fact, again, we can decide individually whether to accept it or not.
Right.
But your proposed finding of fact is it is a self-created
Is that,
obstacle
because a structure
location
has
of the
already
structure.
been built on the property, that doesn't allow them to, or that is non-conforming, that doesn't grandfather them in to do more non-conforming on the property. It is self-created because it was put there by a previous owner, but let me.
So it was
So
self-created because it was created by the
that's my
prior owners.
argument, but that may not necessarily be a finding of fact.
That's,
okay.
that I'm better with. That can be I'm struggling with that being a finding of fact, but there's 4 other voices on this board.
No, I agree that that's probably not. Maybe this phraseology would be more comfortable. Construction of a structure on a property prior to the enactment of a zoning ordinance does not exempt the property from future compliance when considering renovations, expansions, or new structures.
I think that's better, because you
And-
made a comment about something because it's non-conforming doesn't mean that you get to do something because it's non-conforming.
And I agree, because that's my finding of fact. Like, if it's a non-conforming structure, if you tear it down or do anything, you have to make it conforming.
Okay,
So I think that finding of fact, I can,
okay.
I agree with that.
We're all good with that?
Yeah. Can you just say that again real quick?
Yeah. Construction of a structure on a property prior to the enactment of a zoning ordinance does not exempt the property from future compliance when considering renovations, expansions, or new structures. Okay, are we good with our findings of fact? Very good with that, then let's go
Yeah.
I'm good.
back and,
Are we going to go to the next one?
no, we're gonna take a vote on whether these criteria were met. And I think I'll have Kristen do a roll call vote on these.
Okay, give me 1 second to get my paperwork in order here. All right, so we're doing a roll call just on these.
On, yes, on criteria A.
As we go, should we reread the findings of fact?
Sure.
Sure.
I'm gonna have
Sorry.
Sarah read them then.
So for criteria A, the strict compliance, you found that the property is currently being used for a permitted purpose under 4.3 of the zoning ordinance as a single-family dwelling.
3.4? Or is that 4?
3.4, it is 3.4, that was me. There is room to expand the deck outside of the waterfront setback. And the request is to expand an existing structure, a deck, on the property.
Okay.
So you are voting to
You're
say
gonna
this,
vote on-
So if they meet this,
We take it one at a
if they
time.
meet this criteria.
is the criteria met or not met? Is kind of what your vote is when Kristen calls on you.
Okay, are we ready? Jeff,
No.
Laura,
No?
Chad,
No.
Dave,
I'm gonna say yes.
Kristen, no.
Criteria B, the minimum variance needed, the expansion of the deck and ramp can be extended to not encroach into the setback. The expansion of the deck would not have negative impacts on the neighbors. And then we received letters from the current neighbors in support.
All right, Laura,
No?
Chad,
No.
Dave,
No.
Kristen, no. Jeff,
No?
Okay, criteria C, unique circumstances, that the house was built prior to the new setback standards, that there are many cottages built around the lake prior to zoning that are now non-conforming.
Chad,
No.
Dave,
No.
Kristen, no. Laura,
No.
Jeff,
No?
And D, that the variance has been, okay, let me start. The problem and resulting need for the variance has been created by strict compliance with the zoning ordinance. So construction of the structure on the property prior to zoning does not exempt a structure from complying with the ordinance when renovating and constructing new structures.
Dave,
No.
Laura,
No.
Chad,
No.
Jeff,
Tentative no.
Kristen, no.
So yeah, we had the 4 criteria, and I think based on your votes,
That-
Kristen.
Yeah, based on the votes, the criterias were not met.
Do you want to make a motion, Laura, or you want to wait till the end?
Let's wait till the end.
Okay.
Okay, general findings of fact. I had the same ones, pretty sure, as the first, so you want me to run through them real quick? Lot is zoned R1 with existing single-family residential structure. Home and deck structures are non-conforming. Property was improved in the 1950s prior to the establishment of a zoning ordinance, and a deck is defined as a structure in our zoning ordinance, Article 14 definitions. Is that the same or?
I don't have any other finding of facts. I had 3 of the same as you, or similar, worded a little differently.
Okay, and I think Chad added one to the first group about existing structures or something about reasonable upkeep.
Yes.
Did you have that one written down?
I don't have that one. Do you remember what you said, Chad?
That's what my wife asks me all the time. It is an existing structure that can be subjected to reasonable upkeep. I think that was in 2.8.
The only thing I would say is this is not an existing, right? This is new.
Yes, true,
So that one would be relevant just to the first deck.
yes.
Now I would add, there is no permitted structure on this side of the house at all. There is no way to build anything that is compliant.
Okay, say that again.
No deck would be compliant. The entire structure requires a variance.
You're saying due to the location of the
Due to the
home.
location
in-
of the home and the.
and the waterfront setback already.
Waterfront setback already.
So if I may, due to the location of the home in the waterfront setback, any construction on this portion of the property would require a variance. that summarize what you're thinking?
Perfect. Sarah, you talked about, I think it was, you said 10.5, something could be more conforming.
That's what I was just thinking.
So if a deck was moved to the house, is more conforming, is that anything?
That would be more conforming, you're right, and that would meet one of the criteria in this the enlargement and expansion. So in this section specifically says that a non-conforming structure, which may be enlarged or expanded with approval by the zoning administrator, has to meet these three criteria essentially. And that's it has to be a conforming use, single family. The expansion has to be more conforming, and then the expansion has to meet the dimensional requirements of the zoning ordinance. So it fails on the third test. For me to be able to issue a permit requires the trip here to get that approval.
But I was thinking along the same lines, Chad. I mean, it's,
Another question then, assuming, we've seen this in other places, I'm not sure, a 4-foot wide walkway would be allowed from the house to the current deck?
Let me pull up that section. That's in Article 4 of the zoning ordinance. The structures that we allow in the waterfront area. So in 4.2.4 of the zoning ordinance, we allow for one stairway with a maximum width of 48 inches per parcel. And then we allow for ground level walkways with a maximum width of 48 inches. And it does talk about, so it says ground level walkways, and it says walkways may reasonably traverse gullies, ditches, ridges, and other items for pedestrian travel. So yes, I would say that in that you could have a pathway, a deck pathway, even walkway that could connect the house to the deck.
Was there also an allowable, another square or something? I don't have.
The stairways can have landings that are 24 inches wide, not to exceed 48 square feet.
They already have this
So,
landing, this walkway in there.
Well, I'm just looking at, they have a previous deck, and we're just saying what could be allowed. If we're not going to let it happen up to the house, they could have a walkway to the current deck. Could they have an additional platform there to make that current deck a little bit bigger legally?
but I have a question with that, because I read that a little bit differently, because I looked into that, Chad. And it says, at the beginning of it, it says, except as provided herein, no structure or fences shall be allowed within the waterfront overlay district, except as followed in this section. But then it states, all structures shall comply with side setback requirements. So if they're constructing that, it doesn't comply with the setback though. So they're,
The very last one we looked at, didn't they have a walkway? You know, they had a hot tub to the side and they had a walkway that was going through wetlands. I don't know how far it went, if it went into the setback or not, because we didn't discuss that, I don't think.
So it's the side setback though. So you can build in the waterfront as long as it meets the sides. So this property, their house currently at least meets the side setbacks.
so it's, okay.
I don't know if that's finding a fact or just a point of order.
I'm sorry, say,
I don't know if that should go in finding a fact or just a point of order.
Oh,
I'm giving
that,
other options if something doesn't happen here. I know it's not
you mean that a
typically our job.
walkway could be built to the,
And a landing, I mean.
okay, I think that's maybe under,
I've read our job is not to come up with solutions, just to deal with the problem, but that's. something to
yeah,
look at.
I see that more as, I think maybe under,
be,
yeah, under minimum necessary, and then they do have access to the deck, or maybe it's under use of the property in some way.
Well, what if you went through the criteria and if you feel like it's not addressed, we could come back and add it to the general or have a discussion on it?
Sure. Okay, then. Are we ready to move on to criteria A? Yeah? Okay, strict compliance with restrictions governing area, setback, frontage, height, bulk, density, or other non-use matters will unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose or will render ordinance conformity unnecessarily burdensome. Again, I think that the property is currently being used for permitted purposes under section 3.4 of the zoning ordinance, a single-family dwelling. And
Some of our earlier findings apply to them.
Wait, talk into your thing.
Sorry, some of the earlier findings apply as well on the other day.
I actually didn't find a practical difficulty finding a fact, and I was hoping maybe one would come forward tonight when the applicant spoke. I had a hard time with that one.
So I think the only one that from the previous set is, there were two others. There's room to expand deck using different configuration. That's not applicable here. The other one was request is to expand an existing structure. And, well, if it's attached to the house, then they're expanding, are they expanding that structure or not?
Adding a new structure, I think.
Right.
New structure?
I would look at it as a new structure because a deck standing on its own is a structure and they happen to touch, but it's not like an addition, an enclosed addition onto the house.
Okay. Okay, so do either of you have any other thoughts on?
And I think in our general findings, we've already said that, there's no, you can't do anything on this side of the house, right? Without,
Can you hear him? Yeah,
I'm sorry. There would be no permitted structure, no permitted deck, other than a walkway on the lake side of the house because of the setback.
I think what he's trying to say is that if they tear it down, they have to make it conforming, and they can't make it conforming. So
There is no conforming.
option. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I think the key phrase here is that it would unreasonably prevent the owner from using the property for a permitted purpose, or will render ordinance conformity unnecessarily burdensome. And I think they are using the property for a permitted purpose. Maybe the walkway to the old deck is, your suggestion of a walkway to the old deck is not, I wouldn't consider burdensome.
Well, there already is a walkway, so I guess I don't understand what the walkway has to do with it. Is there already a walkway to the old deck?
So
Let me ask you, is there a walkway to the old deck? We kind of,
I'm looking at this, I'm looking at this and I see it.
when I did my site visit, I didn't see anything between the house and the old deck that's on the
And
waterfront.
may I speak for 1 second? Also, I have done multiple site visits to this, and I actually did one today because the other ones I did, there was snow. So today I was able to actually see the land. And I did take pictures, and I did not see an existing walkway. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I guess I don't know. What's the definition of a walkway? Where people walk or like a structure?
This
No,
would be a structure.
Like a built,
Like you're,
Could
You just walk in-
or
you
like,
walk
or
in-
a boardwalk. I mean, a walkway would
We're
be,
just- we were just, like, I was walking on your grass.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
There wasn't
a structure.
stepping stones, there wasn't a boardwalk. It was just, I was walking on your grass.
From the house to the existing deck.
When I walked from your little circle drive, and I walked like this, and I came around, I was just kind of in the grass, and I walked out front. I actually took pictures. I didn't see a boardwalk. Correct?
So to walk from the house to the existing deck, you would walk on grass, or maybe there might be some stones there, but yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm going by this right here. This,
No, we're doing
We're
this
doing
one.
the north one.
No, we're doing this one now.
we're doing this.
Yes.
You switched gear, I didn't get to when you switched.
May I show them a picture?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I was on the north deck and that's what I thought.
I know, it's confusing. This is the deck that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And that they would take that down and attach it to their house.
I agree with that on that one, yes.
You're talking about a boardwalk or something going there, a walkway.
Yes.
Okay, may I show them just so I make sure okay.
Yep,
I think what they're referring to.
I'm sorry,
I
didn't go from north to east.
Oh.
And there's.
Well, we
we
voted on the criteria for the first one and then moved on to the second.
We moved all, I thought we were taking one point at a time. I'm sorry. It's okay. That's why we're confused. Jeez.
Yes, and I'll see if they can, okay, that's.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
Laura, can the applicant make any more comments at this time?
Sure.
If you want to.
Susie Cooper, I guess I just wanted to explain what we were thinking. So we have this deck, we normally put furniture on it, and it's right on the edge. And, we were talking about it, we said, well, why don't we move it back? And then we like landscaping, and we would put more of the non-eroding plants there and just move it back, which I would think would be better for the lake, but I know you guys have a lot of different statutes that you have to work through, but that was the whole theory of it, is to try and make it better for Torch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that addresses, is kind of under criteria B. I'm not hearing any additional ones for A unless you want to include that they could build a walkway from one deck to the other, but I don't know that that's that important. Okay.
I'm sorry, could we ask Sarah to read back what we have, just so we're not missing something? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
just for
no.
this one, thank you so much.
I only have the one that we agreed upon about the property currently being used for a permitted purpose under 3.4, which is a single-family dwelling.
Yes.
We had some discussion about other stuff, but I didn't get any concurrence on
Yeah.
adding that.
Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Criteria B, the variance requested is the minimum variance needed to provide substantial relief to the applicant and be fair to other property owners and be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance. So here's where I think the moving it back comes into play. I think the spirit of the ordinance says that, we want to protect the shoreline. And so I think it would be within the spirit of the ordinance to have the deck back closer to the house, further away from the water.
I would agree with that.
Agree.
So my finding of fact there was removing the existing deck and replacing it with a deck that is further from the water's edge would seem to be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance, that is protecting the shoreline.
Correct. I,
Agreed.
that was what I had.
And then under this one, it speaks to be fair to other property owners. Again, I had letters from neighbors indicate that they do not have any issues with the requested variance.
Mhm. I have one, hopefully won't be a lot of discussion. I had that our zoning ordinance, it doesn't address actually moving something. It doesn't address moving a non-conforming structure. It addresses tearing one down. It addresses building one. And so this was a little gray area for me because they're taking, yes, they are, the way it was stated in their application, they're taking that deck and moving it to the house. And our ordinance, I couldn't find where, if that is a correct interpretation of what they're doing. I couldn't find something that talks about it being moved. We talk about if you tear something down or if you want to build something from scratch.
I'm just speculating, but I'm guessing they're going to tear one down and build a new one.
I can't answer that. I'm not building it or moving it.
Pardon?
I said I can't answer that. I'm not building it or moving it.
Is that correct? You're tearing the old one down and building a new one. That's what you want to do. That was the plan? Okay, so Kristen, are you adding zoning ordinance doesn't specifically address moving a non-conforming structure?
Say it one more time.
Are you adding that the zoning ordinance doesn't specifically address moving a non-conforming structure?
Yes, that would be my finding of fact.
And Sarah, did we miss something in the ordinance that does address? Okay.
No. I mean, in zoning world, when you move it, it's new type of thing. So even if it were a shed and you move it from one portion of the property to another portion, it's new and must comply because it's moving.
Still non-conforming, right?
Although,
Like in my world, that's how I look at it. I don't.
Yeah.
although I will say, as Sarah was talking, I just happened to glance down and under 10.4, which I did not see before, under 10.4D, it says relocations. 10.4 is non-conforming sites. Non-conforming sites may be continued, enlarged, or expanded in accordance with the following provisions. And it says D, relocations. No structure shall be relocated within a non-conforming site until the site is brought into conformance with the provisions of the ordinance.
Yeah, and so a non-conforming site typically is, we usually deal with it more in the commercial aspect than the residential aspect, being if, say, it doesn't have enough parking or landscaping or some other items where we would say that you can't, basically you need to bring the whole site up to compliance before you could build something new, or kind of opens up that can of worms.
Right, and I didn't look at that as being applicable because it says a non-conforming site, whereas this is
A structure.
non-conforming structures.
Right, okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
So does my finding of fact, is everyone okay with it? that our zoning ordinance does not address moving a non-conforming structure?
Yes.
Okay.
Chad, anything else?
No. No.
Dave? Jeff?
I think we've already gotten them in. No, nothing else.
I think that since I started this whole, the whole thing about what our ordinance says, specifying with the non-conforming structure, it does address expansion and enlargement. And do we need to state a finding of fact around that?
Well, so are you referring to 10.5, D2 and 3?
Okay, I'm going to read just a little bit because I know everyone doesn't have their book. Non-conforming structures 10.5. Non-conforming structures may be continued, repaired, replaced, enlarged, or expanding in accordance with the following provisions. Sites containing non-conforming use shall not be enlarged or expanded. And Laura, you reference D, correct?
Yes.
Which is enlargement or expansion,
Mhm.
which quite possibly is what they're doing, is they're enlarging or expanding their deck. A non-conforming structure in which only permitted uses are operated may be enlarged or expanded with approval of the zoning administrator and meeting the following. The use occurring in the structure is a conforming use. Any expansion will result in the structure being more conforming to the requirements of this ordinance, and the expansion will meet the dimensional requirements of the zoning district.
Right, so as Sarah said earlier, they meet 1 and 2,
Correct, and
There-
not 3.
but not 3.
I think that needs to be one of our finding of facts.
Okay,
How that gets worded, I don't know. But I think it's relevant.
okay, so maybe the variance request meets section 10.5.
And then could we,
10.5
and then could we
D,
just 2 and D3? I mean, D2.
D1 and 1 and D2.
Correct. So it would have to, if that's our finding of fact, it has to meet.
Well, under this one, it's the minimum variance needed. To provide substantial relief, be fair to other property owners, and be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance. And so I guess it's kind of how you want to read this. It's in my mind, let me say this. In my mind, it's like, it is that I think it'd be fair to other property owners and it would be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance. Does that outweigh the minimum variance needed? Because I don't think any variance is needed for the deck, but does that outweigh that? And are you willing to say that this criteria is met? I think that's kind of a issue that everybody's going to have to
Yep.
way when we vote on this. Okay. Are we good with those? Sarah, do you want to read?
Sure, so I have four findings for this. The removing of the existing deck and replacing it with a deck that is further from the water would be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance and protection of the shoreline. Letters from neighboring property owners indicate that they do not have any issues with the request. The zoning ordinance does not specifically address moving a non-conforming structure, and then the variance request meets sections 10.5 D1 and D2.
Okay. We all good with that? Yes, yes, yes. Kristen?
Yes.
Okay, then criteria C. The need for the variance is due to unique circumstances peculiar to the property and not generally applicable in the area or to other properties in the same zoning district. And
I think it falls back, like we said before, that many of the cottages were built before the zoning ordinance, correct?
right, and are now considered non-conforming.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have additional?
No, I think this is the same as the others,
Okay,
the other variants.
okay. So we move on to our beloved D. The problem and resulting need for the variance has been created by strict compliance with the zoning ordinance, not by the applicant or the applicant's predecessor.
And I think the finding of fact is the same.
The same?
condition as-
And Sarah, can you read that one back to us to make sure?
Sure, construction of a structure on a property prior to zoning does not exempt a structure from complying when renovating and constructing new structures.
Okay. Anything additional on this one? Okay, then let's go through and vote on these four criteria, please.
Laura, do we want to check back in with Chad on that boardwalk discussion? If we hit it or if he wants to add it to the general?
Oh, sure. Thank you for reminding me.
I think that's more of a point of order than a finding of fact. It's kind of more for information. Again, we're the ones with these booklets, they're not, so I don't think it needs to be included.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it relates to B, right? The minimum necessary.
Yes.
There
but
are
Well,
other options.
They
it's our
have another
solution.
option, but that's not,
Yeah.
but you're right, it kind of is.
We're not here to provide solutions. We're here
Yeah.
to discuss, and that was me throwing a solution out.
Okay. Okay, criteria A.
So the finding we have for that is that the property is currently being used for a permitted purpose under section 3.4 as a single-family dwelling.
Kristen, do you want to take a vote as to whether this criteria is met or not?
Chad,
I have no.
Laura,
No?
Dave,
No,
Jeff,
No,
Kristen, no.
Okay, B, the minimum variance needed, removing the existing deck and replacing it with a deck that is further from the water would be consistent with the spirit of the ordinance and protection of the shoreline. Letters from neighboring property owners indicate that they do not have any issues with the request. The zoning ordinance does not specifically address moving a non-conforming structure, and the variance request meets section 10.5 D1 and D2.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Kristen, yes. Chad,
Yes.
C, the need for the variance is a unique circumstance. The finding we have is that there were many cottages built around the lake prior to the zoning that are now non-conforming.
Jeff,
No.
Chad,
No.
Dave,
No.
Kristen, no. Laura,
No.
Indeed, the problem is self-created essentially. Construction of the structure on the property prior to zoning does not exempt the structure from complying when renovating or constructing new structures.
sorry, I'm behind a page. Dave,
No.
Jeff,
No.
Chad,
No.
Kristen, no. Laura,
No.
So you had one finding that you found was met and the other three were not met.
correct.
That is correct. Okay. It's 7:31 and I now open the meeting back up and would like to know if the applicant has anything further they'd like to say. You think so?
So I guess, can I ask a question or just make a comment?
Sure, you can ask a question.
So what I was picking up on was a lot of discussion about self-created. And I'm not exactly sure by the yeses and the nos and trying to keep track of if a yes is, from my perspective, if a yes is a good thing or a bad thing on some of those things. But in looking up the definition, the one thing that it talks about in multiple sources is an affirmative action. And I don't think someone can make an affirmative action if a code doesn't exist. So the extent that the house was placed there was not really self-created, because everything I was reading talks about self-created being something that would have been affirmative, and they didn't do that knowing it. So we were kind of stuck with the situation there. And then I do think, since the code addresses becoming more conforming, that it does in fact address relocation then, because the only way you could be more conforming is to change something. And by not making the deck any larger than it is, I think we do in fact meet that criteria.
Thank you. Well, does the board have anything else that they would like to say before we proceed to motions? I would like to say that it's very difficult to meet all four criteria. And I mean, I think we all agree it would be great to see the deck moved back further from the water. Unfortunately, we are looking at criteria that, if taken strictly, particularly the first one, where is the are we preventing the applicant from using the property for a permitted use? It's hard to say they've met all four criteria. Although, I guess at this point, I think, given what we know, we need to move forward with a motion to deny both variances. So I'd like somebody else to speak to that.
Well, I guess I'd take exception. I don't see what's wrong. Maybe he hasn't met him, but I don't see anything wrong with what he's doing. I think it would be great. I think taking that deck off The neighbors are all in agreement. I think that's all good. I see nothing bad with this. This criteria is some of it is, I don't think it applies to this maybe necessarily. I think it would be a good deal, okay? I guess I'll say it that way.
I would agree. We're just talking about putting decks up, but there are standards. And when you change standards, when somebody's already in the middle of the stream, it puts us in a very difficult situation. So maybe things hurt a little bit. You know, it's a nice piece of property.
Can
Who doesn't
everyone
want a
hear
deck?
him? Can you hear him?
It's a nice piece of property. Who wouldn't want a deck where they needed to look at the lake? And, you know, I did see the walkway where the barbecue is. If you have a dog, it's a very narrow place there to barbecue. So we do understand it, but we're put in that situation, I think, because of the book. So it is what it is.
Yep, agreed. And I think we had a lot of discussion about pre-existing or, not pre-existing, but the
Self-created?
self-created, thank you. I'm not sure that it's actually relevant in this case. It just happened to come up
Yeah.
because of the timing here. So it's an interesting question for us to consider in the future. So,
To explore further.
yes.
I would agree to that.
I'm struggling. I would agree with Dave. They're moving something farther away from the lake and they're not doing this huge deck. It's a non-conforming structure and they're moving something farther away from the water, farther away from the water's edge. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, the other deck, I think they absolutely have room to redesign that and build it without encroaching in setbacks, but it's a hard one.
So Sarah, you've set these up as two separate variances, but that was for consideration purposes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It is one application.
There was one application because they're two different structures. I was hoping that it would help in your conversations because sometimes you forget about a portion of another structure.
Understood, yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and-
not an all or nothing.
I
mean,
just
you-
wanted to be sure that it was, yeah. I mean,
Right, you
So-
could grant the one.
It's one
So-
application.
Yeah, so we can do separate motions for each deck variance
Yeah, if needed.
if needed. But that's kind of why I brought up the issue of to grant one and not the other would require,
Okay, so do we want to do them as
Ignore-
separates? Because I'll make a motion here.
yeah, let's go ahead and do them as separates.
Okay.
We're doing them separate?
Yes. So it'll be ZBA 2602, parcel 051401802315, located at 2779 Northwest Torch Lake, Keewaydin. Variance number 1 of 2 related to the north deck. Motion to deny.
I'll second that.
So that is a motion not to tear down the deck.
That is a motion not to permit the variance.
And
Not to what?
Not to permit the variance. Motion to deny.
that is for the deck on the
The
north
north
side.
deck, the small deck on the side to
the-
add on
On
to
the
it.
side of the house,
On the
Correct.
side of the house that,
okay? I want to understand this correctly. You're voting, the motion is to deny doing anything with that?
Correct.
to deny giving them a variance,
Okay.
that they would have to
So they could not
expand.
do what
Ex-
they've submitted. They would have to go back to the drawing board, so to speak.
Okay,
And in point of fact, there were 4 findings, all of which we determined they did not
Meet.
meet.
And I seconded that. So we have a motion on the floor. Any other discussion on that? Then let's do a roll call. Oh,
But let's be clear. I means deny, correct?
that's right.
It's a double negative.
It's a double, yes. So the motion is to deny the request for the variance on the east side of the house, the one with,
Nope, north side.
I'm sorry, the north side, northeast, I'm reading here, I have northeast written down, northeast.
You're
So-
going
I got it
first.
right.
You're going first. I love it.
I'm going to vote no.
Okay.
So I'm voting that they can do it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I'm voting no.
Jeff,
Aye.
Laura,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Kristen. Yes. So the motion passes
To deny.
to
that
deny it
that
4-1.
variance.
Whew.
Okay, now, same case, CBA 2602. Variance number 2 related to the east deck on the lakeside. Motion to deny.
Second.
So once again, you're voting. The motion is to not let him move the deck.
That's correct.
And this is the one on the water side.
Right. I'll go first again. You want me to go first again?
If you would like to go first.
I'll go first. I'm going to vote no. That means that I'm allowing them to do that. I want to
Correct.
make sure I got this.
No,
correct.
and I
Okay.
appreciate the clarity. That's
I want-
important.
Okay.
So you're voting no.
I'm voting-
Chad,
Yes.
Laura,
Unfortunately, yes.
Jeff,
Agreed. Unfortunately, yes.
Kristen, no. The motion was denied.
The motion passed
The motion was
to
passed.
deny
3-2.
the request. Okay. Sorry. Moving on, any other public comment? Okay, summary of action items before next ZBA meeting.
We do not have a case, but we will have minutes from your April 1st meeting and then this meeting that you can approve at your next meeting.
Okay. Jeff? Oops, I did that backwards.
The, we have not had a planning commission meeting since the last ZBA. We do have a matter, I assume I know what it is, but I haven't looked at the packet yet.
Yeah, it was
It's
for,
Waswagan, right?
the what? Yes.
Yes,
Yes, 31.
sorry. Yes,
Yeah, for the restaurant.
yeah. To turn it into a combination restaurant and hotel.
That's the rundown, old green, yeah.
Peter said, yes, yes. yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, the planning commission talked about it in February and asked for more information, and our March meeting was canceled because of the weather. we're
So
back.
additional information and more to come after Monday's meeting.
Okay,
That's all I have to report.
I'll put it on my YouTube schedule. Okay, great. And then I just had one question for everybody. Actually, you didn't sign up, but those who signed up for that online course, were you able to access it yet? Has anybody done that? Okay.
How do they communicate that to us?
It was in an email.
To that Torch Lake thing? All right.
Yeah,
That
and
doesn't-
you can't get that working. Okay, we're
I
gonna
guess I got an appointment maybe tomorrow.
okay.
they're gonna call.
And maybe-
But I know I get nothing from when Sarah or anybody emails anything on that. I don't have that.
Okay.
Dave.
Can you send out that link for the instructions again, Sarah?
Sure.
Do you?
And Dave, just so you know, you're not alone. I have great difficulty with my Torchlight Township email. I've had numerous consultations with them, and it will be up and working briefly, and then it goes down, and just be prepared for a long phone call. Last time I was on hold for a while, and then they called me back, and it was an hour and 45 minutes. So I don't know, maybe something needs to be looked at and done.
Well, Sharon's fixed me up when they're supposed to call me tomorrow.
Good.
Okay, great.
Other comments from the board? I have one.
Yes, please.
I'll be attending the Planning and Zoning Conference, one day of it, next Monday. It's here locally at the Grand Traverse Resort. So hopefully I remember by the next time we have a meeting, I will try to give a briefing of
Okay,
All the-
terrific.
knowledge that I have been imbued at the.
Yeah, maybe you can get some more information on the self-created thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think I have a new topic for discussion.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
yeah, motion to, are you making the
I'm making the motion
motion,
to
Jeff?
adjourn.
I
Great.
second it.
Kristen will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 7:47.